I do not want to take care of my mama. A lot of us young entrepreneurs that grew up in poverty, didn't come from shit, have this idea that when we get on, we taking care of everybody. Mama, daddy, granny, brothers, whole family, right? The problem is most of our families were actually poor due to shit that was actually in their control. Poor money management, lack of discipline, inability to create healthy boundaries, no valuable skill set, or just other bad decisions that they never spoke about. So even though it's honorable, it's noble to want to take care of our people, it's just a bullshit band-aid solution that's going to make your people dependent on you. You really want to be the big dog amongst your people? Give them the tools that you use to produce results. Give them the game, give them the knowledge, give them the mindset to create for themselves. That way, when it's time to eat, it's a potluck, not just motherfuckers eating off your plate. You feel me?
You see what I'm saying? So now these black men out here talking about they don't even want to take care of their mothers. That was the whole big thing. Everybody wanted to take care of mama. Everybody wanted to buy mama a house. And now the new thing is not taking care of your mother. So the hate for women is spreading from the ground up. First they started talking about you. Now they're talking about their mamas. Next, they're going to be talking about their daughters. It's just this round and round hatred. He's talking about give them the tools. Son, your mother's old now. What are you talking about? Give her the tools so your mother's going to be out there, what, hustling? Talking about bad decisions. One of those bad decisions may have been giving birth to you. That may have been a bad decision right there. That may have been one of her bad decisions. I don't understand this and I don't get it and I don't understand where they're coming from with this. So now they're like, oh, we ain't taking care of mama. So you're going to just be living this ritzy life and being like, well, I tried to put her on, but mama says she ain't want to learn how to do cryptocurrency trading. I realized in helping to raise a baby that there's no child who makes it through adulthood without somebody caring about that child and intensely looking after that child and protecting that child. No child makes it, not one. He didn't get to adulthood on his own. He didn't get out of infancy without somebody being there to care for him. But then when all is said and done, now look at him. Now he's like, he don't want to take care of his mama because she made bad decisions.
Get on, we taking care of everybody. Mama, daddy, granny, brothers.
Yeah, okay. Now, I could understand why you don't want to take care of friends and people who wasn't there, but your mother, if your mother was there, you mean to tell me that you some big time entrepreneur and you can't get your mother a house, even if it's a small house, that you can't make sure that your mother doesn't have to be worried about rent? Blaming the one who was in the fight with you. Now this is the new kick. Watch, this trend is taking off and I'm disgusted and horrified.
I'm going to take this one. You don't even need to hand it to me. I'm going to take it.
Okay.
I know it's going to be some people out there who wholeheartedly agree with her, right? How dare you not want to take care of your mama? How dare you not want to make sure her rent is paid and her bills are paid and she is well taken care of because she is your mother? As someone who grew up extremely poor, who worked, I have held a job in some form or fashion since I was 11 years old and contributed wholeheartedly to my household financially. No, I do not want to take care of my mama. I don't want to pay her rent. I don't want to pay her lights. I don't want to pay her water. I don't want to make sure she has food in her refrigerator because at the end of the day, it is not my responsibility. You can get as mad as you want to. You can call me all the names that you want to call me because I know it's coming. That is the reality, right? I drug myself up from the childhood that I have. I climbed. I grind through the mud. I put myself through college. I got a job. I got a career that allows me to live a fairly comfortable life. Am I making millions? Absolutely not. My mother is not my responsibility. She is a grown woman. If at this age you still haven't figured out how to take care of yourself, why do you then dump that back on me? Because for me personally, right, I spent a large part of my childhood financially supporting my family. I'm the second oldest of four. So there were 4 children one mother. My younger brothers and I know our father. He was involved. He was a part of our lives, but we were broke. My parents divorced when I was like 8. My dad moved to another state. We stayed with our mom. My older brother knows his father. They have a relationship now, but he was not a part of his life growing up. He contributed financially, but we were still very much poor. My older brother and I supported our family when we were children. That is the reality, right? Now, as a 37-year-old adult, married with children of my own, my mother is not and cannot be my responsibility. Will I help when I can? Occasionally, yes. I'm not gonna let her starve. I'll send her groceries, you know. But at some point, you have to either cut the ties or help them learn something, right? What I do to make money is not something I can teach my mother how to do, right? It requires a college degree. It requires some type of experience. I can't teach her how to do that. I can't put her on game. That's not something I can do. What I also cannot do is be responsible for her household because I am responsible for mine. I can't make myself, my husband, my children lag to compensate for what is lacking in her household because she has not done the things that she needs to do to take care of herself. She is physically able to take care of herself. So why is it my responsibility? I'm sorry. I agree with old dude wholeheartedly. If you have a skillable craft that you can teach them, by all means, absolutely put them on. What's the saying? You can, if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat forever. Something along them lines. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But if I just hand it to you over and over again, you're going to constantly have your hand out. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to learn anything from it. That just doesn't make sense to me. I can't spend the rest of your life taking care of you. It's unfair to me. It is also financially a dumb decision. I have to be able to leave something for my children. So, and it also perpetuates the cycle, right? My mother didn't necessarily grow up poor. She had a fairly stable household. She grew up in a 2-parent household. For whatever reason, she went off, she got married, she got divorced, she got remarried again, got separated, and finances just were not there. So her childhood was very much different from mine, right? She grew up and had a different adult life than her parents had, right? And she placed her children, and I don't place all the blame on her. I blame our fathers as well. It's both of them. But as their children, we were placed in a very financially obscure world. And when I talk about not having money, I mean things like I didn't have running water for years at a time. Okay, this is, I'm not just talking about, she couldn't afford, we couldn't get the latest pair of Nikes. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying I didn't have food in the refrigerator regularly, right? I'm saying I started babysitting at 11 and was checked out of school, missing my last period class to go earn money for the house. This is what I'm talking about. These are bad decisions that she made. Me growing up in this, I knew very early on that this was not the life that I was going to live. So I broke that cycle before it could go any further. I graduated high school. I went off to college. I got a wonderful career. I have children. I'm a hood girl raising suburban kids. Still learning how to navigate that, okay? But what I won't do is in trying to help her take from my children. I'm not going to do that because every dollar that goes out of my house into her house comes out of my children's pocket. And I won't do it. Again, if I had a skillable something that I could teach her, absolutely. I would absolutely teach her how to do it. But I can't. That's not the career path that I chose. Now, he's an entrepreneur. I don't know what his skill set is, but I'm 100%. If you can teach your parent that skill set, by all means, teach them. And if that means that you have to sit beside them and hold their hand to kind of teach them, and they're teachable, do that. but I can't just hand it to you. That's unfair to me. And it's also unfair to you because you'll never figure out what happens if I die tomorrow. Then you're right back in the same place because my life insurance is going to my children. It's not going to you. You haven't learned anything and you've put me in a bad situation. And so I won't do it. I refuse to do it. Not gonna do it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this seems to be a widespread issue in the Black community. I don't know what it is in other communities, but I am a part of this community, so I've seen it a lot. We got to get out of the mindset that your children are born to take care of you later in life. For some reason, that seems to be a general mindset. Like your children are like some type of an insurance policy or something like that. And all this does is really enable, bad decisions. Your children shouldn't have to pay for your previous bad decisions. At some point, you got to learn. You got to do better for yourself because it's not your children's responsibility. It's nowhere in the world that I would ever expect for our two children to be responsible for me as I become of age, as I get older. Like, will I? Okay, so if I'm somewhere falling down the stairs and stuff like that, do I expect them to help me up if they see me falling? Yes. But to completely finance my whole lifestyle just because I gave life to them, that's a level of entitlement that should not exist. And it's interesting because a lot of times, people will point to, well, in other cultures, but if you listen to the children of the people in those other cultures, they'll say that, well, it's supposed to be seen as a gift that you're able to take care of your parents and when they become older. But those children, a lot of times, and I've spoken to a few, talk about the difficulties that they have with that. You're being spread very, very thin. Those of us that have children know that it's difficult to raise kids, right? With all their attitudes and all the changes that they go through and the stuff that they need to survive, the stuff that they want, because you want to be able to give them the stuff that they want too. But to deal with that on the downside, the lower age, and then also have to look up at the person that came before you that gave you life and have to deal with all their changes at the same time, that will lead you into financial ruin if you let it. And especially if it's a situation to where you grew up in a poor situation, you made something out of yourself, and now there's a handout saying, well, you wouldn't be here without me. If you're in a situation like that, it'll make you feel bad that you're not helping out. And that causes other issues. So now you feeling guilty that you're not helping out. You're also feeling guilty that if you do help out, that it's taking time and money away from the family that you have created. It's just an all around bad situation. And as a community, we got to get out of this mindset that that's what our kids are for. Our kids aren't maids.
Right.
Kids are not people that's supposed to be financing us when we get older. You're supposed to, as an adult, as you're growing up, you're supposed to take the time out to make smart financial decisions so that your children don't feel obligated or feel like they need to help you out. Now, if your kids want to help you out,
right,
then that's fantastic because that means you raise some individuals that are financially sound and they feel from a place that they love you enough that they can step in and help you out. Not because you asked, but because, man, Mom, you did this for me. Dad, you did this for me. I just want to be able to help you out like you did for me. And not because you said, boy, I'm struggling over here. You need to do X, Y, Z. My house going into foreclosure. See, that kind of stuff. We got to get out of that. Because how do you leave behind a legacy of generational wealth?
You don't.
If I have to pay for 2 generations at the same time, that's insane.
Really, you paying for 3?
Right, because I'm trying to support myself. But honestly, though, Are you paying for 3? Because you kind of in the midst of that, you end up neglecting yourself and your mental stability. I watched my parents deal with something like that with my grandma and us. Now, in my opinion, we were great kids. We didn't require much, and we didn't have a lot of money. But to watch my dad take care of his mom at the end of life, closer to the end of life, and take care of us, I could see that was mental turmoil. And you end up, if you're not in a good enough place to be able to do that financially, you end up running yourself into debt that you were never meant to have because of bad decisions that your parents made. That's unfair.
It is. And I know that some of you are going to say that we sound real selfish.
Mm-hmm.
The reality of it is a little bit selfish. Mm-hmm. But I have to be a little bit selfish because I want more for my children, right? My mother is by no means homeless. She's not living destitute. Let me clarify that. But understanding what it took for me to grow up and go off to college and do the things that I did in life, and knowing that my parents could not help financially, sometimes not even emotionally, physically, like not even a conversation to a burst of encouragement because of what they were dealing with within their lives. I don't want that for my children. I have to be selfish to protect my children. And I'm sorry, if I have to pick between my parents and my children win every time. Mm-hmm. They're always going to win. It's never a choice if we're being honest about it. And I know that, again, I don't know if he's a millionaire. I'm not sure what that situation is, but to hear her explain it sounded like he was well off. Maybe he is a millionaire. That is not the majority of our situations. The majority of us are poverty, middle class, maybe upper middle class. And at the end of the day, we cannot support both our household, prepare for our children's future, and support our parents. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying let your parents be homeless if you can avoid it, but carrying their household?
That's insane.
No. Buying them a house, paying their rent, when you're in a middle class or poverty situation yourself, how is that feasible? Mm-hmm. It's delusional.
Quite.
If we're being honest about it.
Quite.
And it's irresponsible.
Mm-hmm. And we got to stop trying to make this a black man thing.
Right.
It's not a situation to where, black men don't want to take care of their mothers. So let me ask the question then, if that's the case, right? This is a black man thing because black men don't want to take care of their mothers. Should we now expect the daughters to take care of their fathers and finance their father's lifestyle? I don't think we should, because that's not the daughter's responsibility, just like it's not the son's responsibility to finance the mom's lifestyle. It just really goes all the way back to people making bad decisions throughout their lifetime, and then placing it on the backs of their children.
Right.
Your children don't deserve that, and for them to put themselves in the mental space growing up to think that, man, when I get of age, I have to take care of my parents because they didn't do what they needed to do.
Or even if they did do what they needed to do, it's still not your responsibility. We have been very, very responsible, right? Mm-hmm. I expect us not to have a horrible retirement. Like we'll be okay. Mm-hmm. But I also don't expect our children to come and put food in our house or pay our mortgage or any bills or any. It's not their responsibility.
Unless they want to.
Right. If that's what you choose to do, by all means do it. I'm not going to lie. If I had millions, I would absolutely buy my mother a multifamily home, let her live in one, and earn the income off the other. Absolutely, I would do that. That is not the reality that most of us live in, though. Mm-hmm. It's just not. We are two successful people, right? Financially, we're good. but I can't take care of someone else's household. That would just be financially irresponsible of me. I also understand his point of view as a multimillionaire, if he is, that he does not want to hand something out to his mother. I totally get it. And that's his choice. And I don't think that it means that he hates black women. That's a horrible narrative. It means that he wants people to be more responsible, and he's not going to take on responsibility that is not his, period. She's not his responsibility.
Right. And the other side of this too that we haven't touched on is what this does to a person's mindset or to a person's relationships. Because if you do grow up watching, your parents make bad decisions, that affects your mind state on how you move forward in life. And not only that, if you get into a relationship or you're in a marriage and you have to, or you feel like you need to start taking care of your parent, that's going to put a strain on your marriage, a super strain, because now money is going places where it really shouldn't be going, or you gotta move stuff around because as you said, most people aren't millionaires.
Right.
So if I'm put into a situation, especially if I'm in the middle class, to where I gotta really stretch every dollar that I get.
Yep.
Because I gotta worry about everybody else. So your time is stretched, you are stretched, your finances are stretched, the time with your kids is stretched, the time with your spouse is stretched. Family time is stretched. Everything is just stretched. And I don't know if you guys know what a rubber band is, but if you stretch that thing enough, it's going to snap. And the rubber band could represent a lot of different things. You as the child, your children's, your relationship with your children, your relationship with the wife, the family time, everything could just literally snap. Because that's not that's not an easy thing to deal with. Because we got to come out of that.
We do. We have to come out of the mindset that it's mandated. It's your responsibility. If you choose to do it, by all means, go for it. If you can do it, do it. If you can do it and you want to do it, absolutely do it. I think that a lot of people do have that dream of doing it. I have a dream, maybe. I'm not stressing over it.
But you know how we can get to a point of it not being mandated and the kids wanting to do it and the kids being able to do it. We got to first build some type of wealth.
Exactly.
For them to be able to do it, because just most generations are not starting with a leg up.
No.
You got to create.
Started with 2 feet planted firmly in cement.
Right. So you gotta start them out on a higher ground first. And I can't do that if the wealth that I'm supposed to be leaving to them is going up and not down. Like, you're supposed to pass down inheritance, not pass up inheritance. That's not how that works. It's really not how that works.
It's not.
But that's all I got for this conversation, because I'll talk about this all day. And this video will be 7 hours. All right. But you can close us out.
Like, share, subscribe. That's all we've got. Have a wonderful night.
Peace.
Night.